All right. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Beyond Seven Figures podcast. So, today we're going to talk about something new. For many of us, the idea of not just filling the pipeline, but closing more deals is a core focus in our business. And of course, when it comes down to growing our business and communicating with our clients, the first thing we often think about is a phone. If you're a little more strategic, you might say, okay, well, we got to do omni-channel communication. So let's look at some other things. Let's look at, phone and social and all the social selling through LinkedIn, all this other stuff. But the one thing that seems to be overlooked by so many people is this idea of text messaging. And I say text messaging tends to be overlooked because it's misunderstood. Oftentimes, the way that people do it, it's not scalable. Sometimes people find it even a little bit scary. But text messaging, when you look at the data and what actually needs to happen in order to make it effective for you, becomes incredibly compelling. In fact, I have a feeling that after today's podcast, you're going to be including text messaging within your overall marketing strategy. So we're going to dive into that. In fact, when I decided I was going to bring in an expert, I wanted to find the best. And this particular gentleman I've known for quite a while, extraordinary gentleman, inside note, personally and professionally, very successful guy, 3 times Inc. 5000 founder, an innovator and a disruptor in many different ways. You're going to love today's conversation. Chris Brisson from Salesmsg, welcome to the show, my friend.
Charles, thanks for having me again. I think the first time we did this was a long time ago.
It's been a long time, right? I mean, the first time we did this, I don't even believe AI was a conversation. I think it was just something that was like, we've been hearing rumors about it.
Not either. I don't even think it was a thing that was on anybody's mind. Definitely not.
And so actually, why don't we start there? Let's kind of just talk about like what's changed and why would you be even more bullish on text messaging now than when you were when we first spoke?
Funny thing, Charles, is I've been in the messaging space since like 2010, which seems like, if you implant yourself or bring yourself back to 2010, like where were you? Like, oh my gosh. And so we were young, we were different. That was 15 years ago. And so, I've been in the space for that long. And so I've seen the change of what it was like to go and talk about text messaging in 2012. I remember I did a pitch competition in Miami and there were 3 judges. I only remember 2. One of them was Craig Walker. He was the founder of Dialpad, which sold to Yahoo, which became Yahoo Voice. And then he started Grand Central, which became Google Voice.
Mm,
Today he runs Dialpad, right? Took the name back, runs Dialpad. It's a multi-billion-dollar company. And the other guy was a guy named Jamie Siminoff. Jamie at the time was running a company called unsubscribe.com, which was helping consumers unsubscribe. Here I am talking about text messaging and how businesses can use SMS to grow their businesses. And I didn't win. And so you could see why, because what people were considering text messaging back then, and Jamie, lo and behold, today sold Ring, right? Ring doorbells, right?
yeah.
$1 billion company, great guy. And back then, the conversation around text messaging was, oh, that's spam. That's spam.
Yep.
Why are you spamming people? Why are you going to spam people? Why are you going to spam people? And so that was like, oh my gosh, that was the hurdle. That was the language and the zeitgeist of what it was in 2012, 13, 14, 15, right? And, even today, I'm sure people are like, that's spam. But as other channels, email, right, calling, no one picks up their phone. Everything is spam likely or scam likely. Your email inbox is full. And so, all these other channels have really just gone down and plummeted. And so what has sort of taken over? Similar, it's like news, right? The old world news, people aren't watching the news as much. The new media is the way in which information is distributed and how people get their news is through social media, and everything is a text message. Everything is a short message. And so consumers caught up to the technology. It hasn't changed in, I don't know, 30 something years, but everybody is a pro. And so you've already learned how to text message just being a consumer. And so, today you can imagine and just see this graph of going from a spamming tool to a marketing tool, one only, sending mass messages tool to a conversational tool, and now getting into this AI messaging tool. And so, especially for MarTech, for sales and marketing, AI is eating everything. I don't know if you're on X and seeing what's happening in the space, but it is a onslaught of, oh my gosh, what, holy cow, every day, every day, every day. I mean, yesterday, ChatGPT, or 2 days ago, I don't even know, like maybe it was 12 hours ago for all I know. They launched the
Yeah.
whole new image generation. And I told my team, guys, start using it. Right. And so every company is faced with the challenge of, how are we going to use this technology? Because we have to. Consumers demand it. That's what's gaining the most attention. And what's great about text messaging is everybody can do it. There's no app to download. They're already a professional. And now you can use text messaging to, again, you hear 98% open rate. That's such an old, like, I've been saying that forever. And, people getting into messaging, it's sort of a new thing. But yeah, I mean, text messages get read. I send you a text, you reply, and we can get things done. And so I'm sure how many deals of clients that you just had text message conversations, messaging some clients today. And cool, we got a meeting scheduled. And so things get done over SMS way quicker, faster, easier, and it just cuts through the noise.
Just to piggyback on what you're saying is when you look at the way that communication is done today, and it's funny because I have this conversation with my wife. When she wants to get something done, she'll just text it, text a
Yeah.
friend, text, whomever it might be. And it took me a while to get there because I was, I'm an old school dude. And I'm like, just pick up the phone and call. And then she's like, no, everybody just texts.
Yeah.
Everybody just text. And over time, ultimately, I mean, you and I communicate quite frequently, actually more over text than phone, right? And that just seems to be how it's the chosen way to communicate right now, even among your peers and your friends, let alone colleagues or business people. So it's like meet people where they are.
Yeah. And so, like, that's the consumer side. And then you go, okay, well, how can businesses take advantage of it? And so, there has been a lot of good regulation that's come into the space to keep it clean, because we've all, through the history of text messaging, we're all getting spam text messages. And because of the immediate high click through rate nature of SMS, the carriers were getting bombarded with all these spam text messages. At the end of the day, they want to protect their customer, aka the consumer, right? So FCC, all the different organizations came together and said, "Hey, we got to fix this. We can't just have anybody go to, whatever company, get a phone number and start sending out mass text messages. We need to control this." And so it's been years in the making, but the last 2 or 3 years, this whole compliance side of text messaging has come to light. It's called 10DLC, right? Toll free verification, right? These are all the tech terms or the jargon. But ultimately, what it means is, hey, we want to make sure that we protect this channel for consumers and for businesses. And so the businesses that are going to use it for those purposes, we need to know, are they a legit company? And hey,
Mhm.
what's the type of content that they're sending? So not everybody can just get a number and start texting people. If you're going to do consumer texting, cool, use your own iPhone. But if you're a business, well, we want to know, hey, are you a legitimate business in the United States? You have an EIN number. Okay, great. We verified you're a real business. And then you tell them, well, what's the purpose? Is it for customer care? Is it for marketing? Is it for polling? Is it for political? And so you sort of have this use case that you are approved to send that type of content. And so now what's that's created is it got rid of all the riffraff. And now you have this straight line that the carriers have given businesses to connect and get their message delivered. And so in the history of any channel, there hasn't really ever been a channel that has been so effective in a straight line to engage with, leads, customers, you name it, right? Like my text messages, I'm sure like yours, I clear them out. I'm going through my messages. I clear them all out. Maybe I have one or two, but every other channel, my voicemail's full. My dad called me those days. Your voicemail's full. I'm like, yeah, text me. My email inbox, there are apps to control it. My EA assistant who I'm trying to get onboarded, she's going to be managing that for me. And so this world of cold email and all these tools, everyone's getting hit up with all this cold email. Now it's just like, oh my gosh, you want to bankrupt it. So there's really one channel left that's clean, that's, your straight line. And so that's SMS.
So let's talk about the actual application, right? Because there's so many different applications. Now, granted, there are still those scammers that, that still sneak through. And I know Apple's getting a little better at it because they know it's junk and is junk. And, like you said, it's getting better and better and better,
Yeah.
right? You're actively trying to get that out. Your platform, obviously, I understand much more as far as why your text messages continue to go through because of the verification process that you go and it's funny because I remember asking myself that question like, wow, this is a lot of work. Not a lot of work, but there's some verification that has to go through in order to make things happen. What is the purpose behind this? Right? So in my mind, I'm going, what is the purpose behind this? Why are we doing this? But now all of this actually makes sense.
And
And
for the
that's what
businesses that can't get approved, great, it's better. Real businesses and getting rid of, the fraud businesses or debt businesses, and all these sort of shady industries, cool. That's kept away. And they have to find the alternative ways to sort of hack the system to get their messages through, right? And so the application, so we're writing a book and it's called Textize Your Business. And so there's three parts to this. So one is you have the philosophy, you have the methodology, and then you have the technology. And so the philosophy for us is a belief, right? So we believe that conversations are good for business. And it just so happens the best way to create engaging conversations or a conversation or open a conversation is through text messaging. You could do it through email, you could do it through a phone call, right? You're hitting all those barriers. So through an SMS, right, with a 98% open rate, 85% are going to, check it within the first 15 minutes. It is the channel to do it. So the way in which that we help businesses create those conversations is through a framework and a methodology called Textize Your Business. And so what that means is you can use messaging across your entire life cycle. You can use it to generate leads. You could use it for people to call you and do missed call automation to drive, an engaging conversation. You can use it to qualify, capture data, push that information to your CRM like HubSpot or Salesforce or whatever to book meetings, to remind them of the meetings, to reschedule those meetings, to send promotional marketing messages to drive revenue, to get reviews, to send surveys, to get feedback, and all of the entire life cycle of your business, you can use messaging across all of it. And usually it's just like one little tiny little text message. So I think a lot of marketers, right? Like you're old school, right? And so you bring your old school mentality of writing email and copy and all the ways in which that you need to persuade somebody. You take that same mindset to text messaging and they are at conflict. And
right.
so,
Right.
I've seen marketers come over and they use it like a blast tool and they're like all caps or, capitalize every single first word, and now you bring this marketing message to it. When at the end of the day, it's like, wait, how do you actually text a friend? That's the right way. And so there is no thinking of what is the perfect way to write a text message. And, a while ago, I'm like, why is there no course on this?
Right.
Oh, because it is actually really simple. And so that's our methodology. And so this book, and we're building out some tooling to help people like implant this and inject this in their business. And so some people are like, hey, you know what? I need it for my sales team. Awesome. We have two-way conversations, that enter into your CRM and you can automate that stuff. We've got some amazing AI stuff that will help essentially, dare I say it, like double your bookings. So you have AI
Mhm.
conversations using real natural language in your brand voice. It will have those conversations, delay it in real time as if it's human like. Book that meeting, put it on your calendar or Google or HubSpot or whatever it is, and then follow through and make sure to remind them to show up. So we've got some amazing stuff to help that. So you got your sales team can use it, round robins. It's a calling platform too. So your marketing team can use it for promotional messages, build out campaigns and workflows. And then we've got it to where your customer support team, customer success team can use it as well. So you got one tool where your whole organization is connected to your CRM, can use one messaging tool across that. And so that's where the technology comes in. So it's called Sales Message. Hey, we've got all the features and functionality to actually execute on that idea. And so that is how we think about it.
I know you probably can't reveal some of your clients, so we won't actually mention them here, but you've got quite the list of celebrity, well-known people that are currently using this platform. And there's a reason why they're using it, right? Because again, it's like you meet people where they're at. And you did say something, Chris, and I think it's really important is on the messaging front. No matter what it is, whether it's ads or emails or social posts or social selling or whatever, cold emailing, a lot of times people will write a message, they'll jump to the conclusion that this doesn't work. Cold email doesn't work, or email marketing doesn't work, or this doesn't work. And it's so funny because it's never like all or nothing. It's always something like everything works and nothing works at the same time. Right. And so when you look at text messaging, and you're right, one of the hardest habits for me to break was to get out of the sales and marketing mindset. Because if it looks like sales or it looks like marketing and it smells like marketing and it smells like is what's going to happen, it's going to be treated as such. So trying to pull yourself away from that and realize that all you're trying to do is like have a conversation. Oddly, it comes natural for like my daughters and my son, it becomes more difficult for somebody who's been sitting in the sales and marketing seat for so long. But
Mhm.
the more natural you make the conversation, like you're talking to a friend, the better the results. Let's look at break things at the actual pipeline itself so we can see actual applications for how this can work and how people can apply it in their business. So let's look at lead gen. So the first question I have for you is if someone did not explicitly give you permission to text them, are you allowed to text them?
No, right? Because it's all around consent, right? And so
Mhm.
we have customers come in. I've been in business for 20 years. My customer list, I want to send them a text message. I mean, you could, right? But it opens yourself up to liability. And so it's all around consent. And when I say liability, I mean, it's not like the FCC is going to like bang on your door. Next thing you know, you're going to get sued for, all that sort of stuff. People are like so scared of that, right? So the probability and likelihood for a small business is very low. If you're a large company, that has millions of dollars and a big footprint, you better make sure that you're following all the rules, right? Everyone should follow the rules. The cool thing is it's actually easier than you think. So a lot of people think, oh my God, compliance. We just call it approval. Get approved. Okay. Right. Compliance is this like legal word. Oh my gosh, I got to be compliant and everything. No, no, no. You just got to get approved. And then in order to get approved or at least compliant web form, hey, you just have to have some terms and conditions language. Like you ever hear a radio ad and you're like, whoa, that radio ad was 30 seconds, but 30 seconds of it was them reading the whole like compliance information. And so it's sort of the same thing. You just have a little snippet of, hey, I agree to receive text messages, data rates may apply, blah, blah, blah. It's the same thing, right? So we already know how it works. That's all it is. And so you have just what's the mechanism. So if you have a web form, awesome. Put this little snippet of information on there. If you're doing, text to join, awesome. Well, people are texting you, so they are the initiation of that consent. If they're scanning a QR code and it goes to text, they're the ones initiating that text message. If they're texting the number, there you go, right? So all the different mechanisms have, hey, this is what compliance looks like, and that's what compliance does not look like. And that's really it. And so, you know, one of the best ways to do it is audit all your web forms. And so what again, that customer, hey, I've been in business for 20 years. I've got this big list. I have all these numbers. What can I do? And there's a great Chinese proverb. You've probably heard it. You've probably seen it on little memes. But the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. Second best time is to plant it today. So, like today, make sure on your web forms, if you are capturing a phone number, that you just add this compliant information, and there you go. Right. If you don't have a form and it does not have a phone number, add a phone number. Why? Because if you don't have a number, well, then your only alternative mechanism to reach somebody is an email. And
Yeah.
so, always add a phone number. People are more okay with receiving text messages. 5 years ago, not so much. 10 years ago, forget about it. Right. And so, but today, people actually appreciate it. I would rather get a text message and engage because I own my time. Don't call me. I'm not going to pick up. Send me a text. I'll reply when I want to or not at all. And so give me that opportunity as a consumer to take it on and I'll deal with it. Right. So that's what you can do today. Make sure you capture a phone number, look at all your forms, capture a phone number, add this little language. You can go to salesmessage.com. We've got, a lot of articles on basically, hey, just copy this code of this text, put it on your web form, and you've got a compliant form, right? And so that's what they can do today to be in compliance. So that's really the first step is in order to use text messaging, you got to go through that process. It's super simple. You fill out a form. It takes us 6.5 minutes. You submit it. We send it to the carriers. The carriers say yes or no. And then you just go back and you get approved, right? And that's the first step.
And I know that there's probably some people who's listening to this podcast that might be familiar with CRO or conversion rate optimization. And there's some of these people are going to be sitting there going, well, no, hey, look, I've taken all the courses, I've read all the books. They say if you ask for more than an email, you're going to lower your conversion rate. And okay, so that part to some extent is going to be true, right? That you'll lower the conversion rate. But if you look at lower the conversion rate of what? Overall leads or qualified prospects? Because you're that's two different conversations. But even when you look at the qualified prospects, if somebody's going to ask me for my cell phone on a form, the first question that goes in my mind is, how is this going to benefit me? And in some cases, it's, hey, if you want an additional discount, provide me with your cell phone number. Okay, cool. All right. That tells me what I'm going to get as a result. Or it could be something as simple as let's schedule a call and we'll send you the reminders through text message. Okay, at least I know what I'm going to get. I'm going to get this value. Yeah, I'm going to get these reminders. And there could be some other things that you put in there that just tells somebody like what is the reason why? And that's what I find is the important one. If you're going to ask for a cell phone number, you've got to give them a reason why, because without the reason why, in the back of their mind, they're going, "Oh, you want my cell phone number so you can call me nonstop to try to sell me your thing." And that's when it's really going to hurt you. But give them a reason why that benefits the prospect, and then they'll have no problem, very little resistance to provide that number. You mentioned something earlier too, where you said, "Look, there's a couple different paths that you could take. Either that, depending on the form and the funnel that you've designed, that text can be then handed off to the sales team. And the sales team says, all right, here's a number, here's a lead, do what you may, follow the playbook. But then there's another part that's really unique to your service, and that's the automated workflows and the ways that can happen as well. So I want you to put yourself in the shoes of, say, an agency, right? A creative agency, whatever it is. And from a prospecting perspective, what are some of sort of the best practices that you've seen that agency owners have used to leverage text before they end up having this conversation, the sales call?
Yeah. I mean, we work with a lot of agencies. And so agencies have clients and they got to deliver value to keep clients and keep them happy and, deliver on the promises they made to keep that client. And so, one of the best ways that we have a lot of agencies using sales message is setting up all of those drop off points. So, for example, let's say for you, Charles, people are booking a meeting. And so the
Mm.
first thing that they could do is we'll look at, hey, are you sending a text message reminder or an engagement when you get that lead? No? Okay, great. There's an opportunity. So, like, we like to look at, hey, here's your overall framework of textizer business. You have capture, connect, convert, and care. And so you could layer this framework on any business. And I could audit your company right now and go to your website and go, hey, Charles, you actually don't have a number on your website. Maybe you don't want that. However, have you considered having that number, making it textable? Or, hey, your number, I just texted that phone number. You actually can't receive text messages. Did you know about 45% of people prefer to text the business rather than call it? Right. And so you unlock that. So we have the ability to text enable existing phone numbers. And there's this gold mine of opportunity. That's a win. Cool. Let's do that. Hey, I looked at your web forms. I noticed client, you only collected name and email. Let's add a phone number there. And then we can send a text message after they fill out that form. So rather than passing off to your team, which may or may not get back to that lead in 15 minutes or in a day or 4 days or not at all, let's ensure that we engage with them over SMS in real time to hit them while they're hot, ask those qualifying questions, and then get to a phone call, right? Sort of this whole idea of asking for permission, right? Hey, it's Chris over here. It tells, hey, is it okay if I give you a call real quick? Oh, yeah, it's actually a great time, right? Or whatever it is. And so instantly, right, you're meeting them where they are because they're going to get a phone call coming in and they're not going to pick it up, right? Maybe they do, but there's a low probability that that's going to happen. So an agency can just easily audit an entire business and go like, hey, here's our process, here's our checkpoints. It's like Jiffy Lube, you got your 99 point checklist. Now you can run an audit on any company. hey, these are all the points in your business that if we add this, hey, if we add that, we could see a 15% bump in attendance for your meetings, right? Because no shows is a problem, right?
Yeah.
Charles, yeah, it
Yeah.
actually is. Awesome. We're going to set this up. It's totally automated. We're going to get a 15, 20%. What's that worth to your business? Oh my gosh, lead is worth. So you can start to run this across the entire business and look at all points of it. Now they have one primary problem. Hey, what's your primary problem that we can solve? Hey, it's lead qualification, lead engagement. Great. What we're going to do, we're going to add this to your overall funnel and we'll make sure that text messages. Well, how do we reply? Well, sales messaging, two-way conversations. You can build it into HubSpot and all the workflows. So, the agencies can literally just sort of analyze a business and start to look at, hey, what are all the drop off points where messaging can play a part in this process? Maybe it's fulfillment. So, after you sign a contract, how cool would it be where they get an introduction email or a text message that is a picture and it's an animated GIF? Hey, I'm Susie, your new CSM. I'm excited to meet you. Hey, book a time on my calendar for our first kickoff call. How cool, right? How do you create these like wow experiences using media, using text messaging, using all this sort of multi-channel? You're still going to use email, you're still going to use calling. Maybe you're using Facebook Messenger or WhatsApp or whatever, but you're really going to go to text messaging. So, like, what is that wow factor you can have when, oh my gosh, what cool company? And you can do that, right? Animated GIFs, you can do pictures, you can do video, you can do voice memos. Soon we got this way to do AI voice memos. So like, hey Charles, awesome to meet you. Now guess what? That's all dynamic. So you set it up once and now it's dynamic AI voices. We can clone your voice, Charles, and you can build it into the overall funnel. Now imagine if you have a sales team and you can automate all those voices on the rep that they've been assigned. And now you get into this like personalization at scale, very Jermaine Griggs stuff, right? Right, personalization at scale to create this amazing like experience across your entire business. And then people go, wow, what a cool company. And then hopefully you got a good product on the end, right? But you can imagine, how do we elevate this experience through messaging to where it is the way that we're going to engage with our customers, but we can use messaging to like lift it. So
I love what you're saying, Chris. I use this example quite a bit when I say if you look at interpersonal relationships, 50% of all marriages end up in divorce, which is pretty sad. Sometimes that number moves up a few percentage points or moves down. So, but if you really look at the core reason for breakups, right? What does it really come down to? What is the number one thing it comes down to?
communication.
Communication, right? And it's a quality of the communication that happens. And it's a lack of communication that ends up drawing people further and further apart. And so when we look at it through that lens and interpersonal relationships and business relationships, funny enough, there's a lot of overlap there, right? And so we say, okay, let's take a look at the quality of your relationships and what's actually going on now. And when you look at the databases for most people, you say, well, okay, well, how are you communicating with these people? Email. And what else? Oh, email. Oh, so that's it, email. Let's take a look at the open rates. Like by and large, if you look at the open rates of a database, it's if you're doing good, it's usually 20% or above, around that 20%. Most people, it's going to be somewhere around like that 12% mark. So it's like, wait a minute, let's stop for a second. So you're telling me that your most important relationships, 88% of the people aren't even seeing your message. And so what's the problem with that? And commonly what I hear is, well, we need more leads. And it's like, let's actually think about this for a minute. Like you're already paying a certain amount. What if instead of getting more leads, you got more people to see your message? If you got more people to reply to your message, what impact would that have on the business?
Yeah.
And it becomes a complete game changer, right? And so, the quality of communication and how you do it is a big one. The other thing that you talked about, and ties into what you talked when you mentioned messaging and the connection and the relationship with the messaging. One of the things that was a real game changer for us is when somebody became a client, they got a video real soon thereafter of somebody from their coach who is like, "Hey, nice to meet you. Let me tell you a little bit about myself and blah blah blah." And that was really really nice touch that went on through there. Again, it was bringing somebody to a different medium, their preferred choice, as most people is right now is text message. Just look around, you'll see everybody texting everybody and all their friends and so forth, right? It actually really does do a lot for the relationship and even simple things like you said taking pictures and sending those pictures, it's a good reminder. It's been a long time since I've done that, but every time I did that, just the picture, like, maybe we're in Ohio, like we were just a few months ago together, and it's like, take a picture with a quick note and blast it out to the client base. Like that goes, a long way. It's a really, really powerful tool. And it's funny, even though you and I have been talking about it for a while, and in full disclosure, I'm also a client of Sales Message. But even though I've known you for a long time, even something as simple as this podcast is reminding me, like, I need to go back and I get to re-audit everything that we're doing because I'm certain, 100% certain, that there's going to be additional opportunities in there for us to leverage it. It's a powerful medium.
I think the thing with it too is it is a medium that you want to use wisely.
Mm.
And so, you can go aggressive, but you can also go like subtle. And so you're going to find all these points of opportunity. And well, how do you use it strategically? Right. So a great thing is, and everybody can do this, right? Which you probably have past cold customers, right? Or leads. And so a great text message to like re-engage, reactivate is, hey Charles, Chris here at Sales Message. Been a while. Hey, are you still interested in text messaging? Right. It's this 9-word text message, 9-word email thing, and it just opens it up. And so, when you make a statement like a text message with no question mark, well, then there is no loop for them to close. It's just a statement. It's like, I don't need to reply. Didn't ask me a question. But when you can ask a question, right, you elicit a response and then you're going to lift that response because all you want is the engagement. You just want the conversation to move forward.
Well, think about all right now when we talk B2B sales, how many people have you spoken to in other B2B companies that have said, "Oh, my prospect ghosted me." And it's like, "Okay, well, what are you doing?" And it's like, "I sent him an email." Well, what else have you done? I sent him more emails. And funny enough, oftentimes it's not that the people are ignoring you. Sometimes it does happen. Shockingly, depending on the platform of the company, your emails inadvertently have been going into spam and they don't even realize it. They would reply to you if it wasn't going into spam. Or, it's lost in the hundreds of emails that they get every single day. They're not ignoring you, they just don't see you, right? Even something as simple as a quick 9-word text message. Are you still interested in doing business with me? Like something as simple as that.
Yeah, totally. I mean, you brought up a good point, which is like where you're at, you can take a picture. And so it reminds me of something I do often, and it just opens up a new conversation with somebody that I haven't spoke to in a while. And so you probably know the saying is like people make new decisions based on new information. I think Jay Abraham said that. And so there's always new things that are coming out, which gives people the opportunity to make a new decision. However, if they don't know about any new information, then how can they make a new decision? So
Yeah.
like, great. Well, how can I introduce new things to them in a way that's not weird, right?
Yeah.
But it's connecting. And so, if I'm out at an event or something like that, or out and about, and let's say we talk about Charles, and I'm like, oh my God, Charles, oh my gosh, hey, let me get a picture. Let's get a picture together, right? We snap a photo. Hey, Charles, good to meet you. And so it's just such a great way to like connect people together, or like, hey, I've got a friend. Hey, record a video, man, real quick. I'll record a video. I'll send it to this person and now I'll introduce them. It's just a great way to really connect
Yeah.
people to like open up even more relationships. That's obviously on my iPhone, but like, well, how do you take that same concept at scale, right? Hey, I'm just at this event. Hey, I thought about you with your business. You can use it in a way that is a one to many. You can also use it as a way of one to one, right? To unlock those opportunities. But when you're thinking about somebody, hey, I just saw this article. I'm just thinking about you. What? Who does it? And so, you probably read an article, you take a picture and you send it to a friend, like, hey man, just think about, oh my gosh, that's so cool. Why not do it at scale? Why not do it 1 to 500 or 5,000 for that matter? So it can be that easy. It's just, how can I use the same way I'm existing today and use it for my business? So there's no difference. It's just taking off that sales and marketing hat as if it has to be perfect and removing it and just like, well, how do I be a person, not perfect, and just be a person? And so it's exciting because we are helping so many great companies. We just got, I don't know, one of the top 5 auto manufacturers, and they're using it all these really cool ways. And so, the largest companies in the world are using it. The smallest companies in the world are using it too. And guess what? There is no difference. The largest company wants to get a review. The tiniest company wants to get a review. They also want referrals. They want referrals, right? So the system, the structure, and the framework that the biggest companies of the world are using, everybody can do the same thing. And more importantly, is as you move into the future, all of this can and will be automated. To where a lead comes in, it qualifies, it engages, it captures, it books a meeting. It's using your brand voice, it's driving revenue, it's looking at your RFM and your recency and your last purchase and reminding you, hey, the last time you got a haircut was 2 days ago. What's up, man? Like you can start, hey, rate us 1 to 5. Oh, 5, great. Hey, can you leave us a review? Hey, a 1. All right. Hey, what went wrong? And now you just start to create this entire system.
You're really only limited by your imagination, right? Because you even just touched on something else, which, NPS scores, which most companies don't even get replies in NPS scores. But again, you're highly more likely going to get it when it comes to text messages. I know we're pushing up against the clock. So I do want to, talk about a couple different things. Also, you mentioned, well, you text people and you could do it, at scale. And that's great because it makes it human. But there's one thing that it can instantly make you not human. And the reason why we moved off of HubSpot's texting platform and actually worked with yours, because a lot of these platforms, way back, if somebody replied back,
Just black hole. Yeah.
it's a black hole. And that becomes a real problem because when you text somebody, you want to have a conversation.
Yeah.
And if I send a text message out and people reply back, they want to have a conversation. The easiest way to lose that connection is to then ignore the person who's replying back.
Yeah.
And then, that's why we moved over to sales message because it actually allows for natural back and forth conversation. In addition to that, when you start dealing with people at scale, I mean, probably like you, I mean, even though I'm real careful of who I give my phone number to, I get hundreds of messages nonstop. So it's like the busier you get, the harder it is to manage everything. But your platform makes it real easy with these. It's almost like going into an inbox and it's really easy to make it work. And then, I've heard this quite a bit from people who have said, well, my clients are different. And I kind of laugh about that. We've heard it before in every situation. And I'm like, right. And I'm like, the funny thing is very literally this morning, I have a client who's a billionaire, one of the most successful individuals in the world. And we text. Actually, that's his preferred method of communication is to text. And if this billionaire is texting back and forth with me and all the way down, I'm trying to figure out like what makes you think your clients are actually different.
They're any different than you. Right.
Do they have a cell phone? Right. But this particular gentleman, he doesn't use email. So he doesn't use email. He doesn't use social media. Actually, his only method of communication is text message, or if you're in his inner circle, you can call him. That's it.
It is the private space. So I'm in a ton of WhatsApp groups. I've theoretically bankrupted WhatsApp because it's just full of all these groups, all these messages. So if you want to get in touch with me, don't WhatsApp me, don't email me, don't Facebook me, text me. Like I told my assistant, like, look, if you want to get in touch with me, text me or call me. Don't Slack. I'm not going to look at it. Call me, text me. That's the only way that you're going to get in touch with me immediately. And so, I hear all the time, oh, how can this work for B2B? I don't know. I'm a B2B company, right? You're a B2B company. Do you have meetings? Yeah, we do. Are people showing up? Oh, you know what? That's a problem. There you go. Right. Hey, how are you engaging with them now? Oh, we're just emailing and calling and they're not, so like everyone's business is all the same. You have leads, you want to qualify them, you want to engage with them, you want to, make sure they show up to the meeting or the appointment or reschedule. You want to drive some revenue. Cool. Some businesses don't need that. You don't need, a marketing tool. Why? Well, your business is not built that way. But you do fulfillment, right? Like you provide a service or a product. Well, do you think you can engage that experience and hand it off and get things done? Because there's probably a lag in getting client materials that you need.
Yeah.
I know for like accountants, it's annoying because every month they're like, hey, can you go through these things? Oh, I sent you an email. I'm like, oh, can you just send me a text and let me know? Right. And so you go like, oh, can you just send me a text? I think when you look at your own life, you're like, can't you just text me? One of the guys, one of my employees, like, hey, let's set up a phone call to talk about so and so. No, make me a loom. I'll look at it on my time. right? My calendar's full and your calendar's full. The last thing you should be doing is a meeting. Why? It's not a good use of our time. How much is that worth? So the death of meetings, everything is async. And so messaging is asynchronous. Loom is asynchronous. So the world is moving from, static time to async messaging, async communication. The more that you can do that, one, you're a lot happier. Two, you're getting more stuff done. And three is you take back your time and you own your time and it's on you. It's not on somebody else. I've got a whole bunch of phone calls and none of them are ones I want to call back. But guess what? My mom called me. I'm going to give her a ring. Right. Up. Patrick called me. But up, he actually sent me a text message. Way better, So we were all experiencing it. So here's my ask to everybody is I would consider Sales Message best in class, right? Messaging product. Really, really phenomenal product. You can do two-way texting, mass text messaging, you can do calling. It is sort of this one platform that you can use in your business today to engage with folks. If you don't need a platform, fine. Start using your own phone to engage with past customers, to reach out to them, to send them a text message, but don't do it in a weird way. And so, as long as you do things in a normal human way, they're going to look at it and go, oh, there's a human on the other side versus, that's a marketing message. And then that relationship and that first impression, it's not a good one. So they could check it out. Go to salesmessage.com. We are writing this book, Textize Your Business. I'm excited to launch this because it sort of codifies the way in which we think about messaging and how we see the world. Everybody is going to be messaging. Those that decide to do it today are going to be the ones that can take advantage of the opportunity. And that's it. So
When you have that book, Textize Your Business, when that's done, you let me know, and we will buy a copy for every single one of our board of directors members as well and give that to them, as a gift, because I think this is going to be a really important, it's not, I think we use it ourselves. We like to eat our own pudding, right? So when we use it, we stress test it. And then it's easy for us to have a conversation by saying, hey, this is what we've tried and this is what works. So that's why I really wanted to bring you on, because this is something that does work. It's an opportunity that allows people to get better results without having to work any harder, without having to spend any more money, you know, and just makes everything move smoother. Now, we've covered a lot actually today on this podcast. We've covered everything from, making sure that you go do an audit of your forms and whatnot. Make sure that you've got that opportunity where it's applicable to ask for a cell phone number and with that little disclaimer. And on that form, don't just make sure you add a cell phone number. Like, what's in it for them? Like, why are they going to do this? Like, what's the value exchange, whether it's a discount code or whether it's going to be a reminder or any number of things. Again, you're really only limited to your imagination on this one. To then making sure that your messaging is dialed in, speaking like a friend as opposed to talking like a marketing guy, right? Or a sales guy, talking with a friend. Talked about a whole bunch of use cases, everything from prospecting to relationships to NPS to even fun things like sending GIF messages or just pictures and so forth. And it's a lot of great things. With email, you might be looking at a 12 to maybe 20% open rate. And 98% of all text messages get opened. People are going to see your message, you get better results. Helps you deal with people who are ghosting you and you can't get a hold of them. And this is just another method of communication to reach them. So, look, at the end of the day, this is a very simple, very easy way to integrate into your pipeline to bring in more conversations, to close more of those deals, to keep your clients around longer. Just check out those NPS scores, all that other fun stuff. So, do check it out. It's salesmessage.com. And Chris, is there anything else that you want to add before we jump off?
yeah, I would just say is start today. There's no magical strategy. There's no magical way to do it. It is way simpler than people think. And so the old way, the methodology is a little outdated. The new way is like, let's just start having conversations. One of the biggest things we hear from customers is either A, why did we do this sooner? And B, oh my gosh, this is actually working. And so, if like you mentioned before, is there's no additional cost. Like, what if there's a way that you didn't change anything in your process and in your funnel, and you just added a tiny text and it lifted it by 5%? A tiny text here, it lifted it by 8%, and then 12 and 15. And now you get into this started exponential growth. Like, oh my God, we didn't change anything in our business. We just added texting. So that's it. And thank you, Charles. This was fun. It inspired a lot of ideas for me as well. And I want that t-shirt. So I'm
Yeah, there
really
you go. I get that to you for sure. The easiest way, by the way, that people can apply this, like right off the bat, is on your booking forms. You have a calendar, have a cell phone on the booking forms so you can send reminders. If you do
yeah.
workshops, webinars, add a cell phone because show up rates can be a problem. Like send reminders. Like that's simple things like that you don't have to do much thought in getting it actually there. It's a first step that can have an immediate impact on those results. But start there. Awesome. Salesmsg.com. My buddy Chris Brisson. This is Charles Gaudet. And if you're looking for more tips, strategies, and information for bringing your business beyond some figures, check us out at predictableprofits.com. Again, that's predictableprofits.com. I'll see you in another episode of the Beyond Seven Figures podcast.